Hi, I'm Shilpa Agarwal from Clean EQ Training, and this is the final video in our three-part series on rewiring GXP training for real-world behavior change. If you've ever felt that your training is informative but it doesn't shift culture, then this is for you. In this final episode, I'm going to share about the Clean EQ activation loop, our simple but powerful model that moves training from a one time event to a behavioral ecosystem. And I'll show you how it helps teams act in gray zones, speak up early, and reduce repeat deviations without overwhelming them. So here's the fix, the training that changes behavior. The brain, as we know, we've discussed it in the earlier two episodes, the brain is ruthlessly efficient. If a behavior isn't being reinforced regularly, the neural pathways that support it literally weaken off and die. Training is not about dumping more information into the brain. Instead, it's about creating strong, repeatable neural pathways or brain pathways. If learners don't use what they learned, they will lose it. Not because they are lazy, but because their brain is efficient. And this is the use it or lose it effect. And that's why training isn't a one and done event. Compliance must be a living, breathing habit inside your culture. Here's the fix: build an activation loop. Train the right behaviors, reinforce them in the real world, publicly recognize when people embody the identity, model it consistently in leadership, and retrain periodically. But now with living examples, walking around, people moving real life examples rather than dead slides. Look, learning isn't a checkbox, it's a heartbeat. It needs to be just like a heartbeat, ongoing, rhythmic, and alive. Because if it stops like a one off training, then the whole system flatlines. Let's look another live demo. SOPs tell you exactly what to do. As per SOP CL146, any temperature deviation outside the defined storage range must be documented using the temperature deviation reporting form and notified to the sponsor or designee within 24 hours of discovery. Notification must be sent via the designated email escalation pathway outlined in the sponsor's communication plan. Now, here, the rule is clear, but the moment is not. And we'll see how. Let's live this. Let's live it. Close your eyes and imagine it's mid Monday morning. You're the new clinical trial assistant covering for your colleague. You glance at the weekend temperature logs before archiving them, and you see that Saturday log shows a plus 10 degrees Celsius for nearly 12 hours. You're not sure who logged it. No one mentioned anything about it in the Monday meeting, which was just a couple hours ago, though. Your PI is in a patient consult, and all the other side staff seem busy. You hesitate. Should you raise it? Is it even your role? Maybe it has been addressed. Here's the question: what makes you pause? Is it uncertainty about whether it's being addressed, or the fear of disrupting rapport with colleagues? Or maybe you think someone else will deal with it. This is where most non-compliance begins, in the gray zone. In that split second of ambiguity where silence feels safer than action. At Clean EQ, we teach decision making under emotional pressure. We normalize uncertainty and build confidence in how to act anyway. Instead, recognize when someone acts in integrity, even when it's inconvenient. That subtle shift from rewarding memory to rewarding identity is what locks compliance into their self image permanently. People always live up to the identity they're praised for. Now, we're in the early stages of applying the Clin EQ model, but we're already noticing promising patterns. When training shifts from what to do to how to think, people engage differently. Instead of checking a box, they start owning the moment. They speak up, reflect more, and challenge their assumptions, especially in the gray zones where most real world decisions live. And most importantly, it's a shift in mindset. Trainers noted a shift, trainers, managers, line managers noted a shift from what's the answer, from perfection, from always knowing what to do to reflecting what's the impact of doing this or not doing this. Let's experience this right now. Think of a recent training you've run or you've attended and take a moment to reflect upon the internal language you heard within yourself. What do I need to remember? Oh my God, what's the right step? What if I forget this? This is critical. I dare not forget. This will have consequences. My manager will blame me, or, um, just focused on the doing rather than the being. If I don't do this right, then I have reported this deviation, that's my job done, or I have to do this because my manager has asked me to do it. And now reframe it to identity mindset. Who am I when I apply this? Who am I becoming? It's important that I do it right the first time. That way, it's safe and easier for everyone involved. I will address the root cause of this deviation rather than just fix this one. And, think about having a deep internal motivation and an attitude of gratitude that I get to be a part of this process or I get to make a difference to the bigger picture rather than I have to do this. This is a language loop. They say your language shapes your reality. If you can't articulate it, you can't have it. But that also means you will have exactly what you articulate. So if you're having an attitude of, I have to do this, you're constantly going to feel burdened in life because you have to. While when you act with volition, hey, I choose to do this, I've taken this job, I've taken this role, it's my duty, I choose to do this well, then everything feels like you're the one who's in control. So change the language and you change the culture. Let's look at how we train AE reporting. Ask the question, any new symptoms since the last time? If the answer is no, move on. But let's see what might really be happening. Okay, one more time. Please play along. It's just going to be so much more impactful if you actually do close your eyes. So close your eyes and imagine you're a trial participant for an autoimmune disorder. You've had a persistent headache for days now and waves of nausea that come and go. You feel off and honestly a bit anxious about it. But you also remember the consent form. It said something about the sponsor deciding if you stay in the study or not. You've rearranged your entire life to be a part of this trial. You need this drug. The medication is free, and most of all, you're hopeful it will help. But if you report this, will they remove you? Will they think you're being difficult? Will you lose your spot? No one really explained what happens if you do say something. And the study staff seem rushed. You don't want to be more of a burden on them. You convince yourself these symptoms were around even before starting the trial. Even though you know the truth, that was rare. So, when they ask you, what do you say? No, everything's fine, just the usual. And by using those words very carefully, very carefully chosen, picked words, in your heart, you said it, but they have not picked it. They haven't heard it, didn't grab it, didn't pay attention to it. And that way, the AE, the adverse event, goes unreported. The data is incomplete, but more importantly, the trust is broken. At Clin EQ, we train emotional intelligence because accurate data comes not just from asking the right question, but from creating the right conditions for truth to emerge. If you want to get started straight away, focus on these 5 things. Look, you don't have to overhaul everything at once, but every moment you shift from training facts to training identity, you're rewiring culture at the source. And that is the future of compliance. So here's the full picture of what we do at Clin EQ. It's not just about better slides or more interesting SOPs. It's about reshaping who people believe they are at work. We start at the source: identity, followed by behavior, followed by knowledge. Then we activate and embed it. So it becomes their new normal without needing constant policing. At Clean EQ, we believe compliance isn't something you just train. It's something you embed into identity, into daily behavior, into company's DNA. When you do that, you don't have to chase the staff to follow the rules. They become the rules naturally, powerfully, and permanently. And if you're ready to move beyond memory based compliance into real transformation, scan the QR code and connect with me. You can book a free consult, download our free PDF guide. It's the training stickability diagnostic, or just start a conversation. Let's rebuild compliance together, smarter, faster, and more human than ever. Thank you.